Good to go.
All right, welcome everyone out to our school board meeting tonight. Present, we got Mrs. Corney, Mrs. Johnson, Mr. McKee, Mr. Lamb, myself, Eric Wamsley, Mr. Corney, and Mr. Seavey, Superintendent Lamborn, and we have our principals, Mr. Larson and Mr. Taylor. First and last opening remarks by Mr. Corney, and then Mr. Lamb will lead us in the pledge. School board. So,
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Well, do we have any questions on minutes from our last meeting? No, I'll accept the motion to approve them.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
I'll second that. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carries. I'll accept the motion to pay the bills.
I'll make the motion to pay the bills.
I'll second it. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, action items, by policy 405.1.
This is one we already talked about, right?
Yeah, we adopted this last month, and we made some changes in it. So I've given the copy that reflect the changes that were made with the last month. We, in that first paragraph, we deleted that, so when it goes into the final policy, it just read circumstances will be used in the formal evaluation process to find out. Same thing down at the bottom of that page, on the top of the next page. We line that out. Oh, but the other word we did add, which I should have had in bold in that first paragraph, is we added the formal evaluation process, or a formal employee evaluation process. You remember that from last month? So I should have had that in bold to reflect that change.
Okay,
Did you ratify?
yep, I'll accept the motion to ratify.
All right. I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Superintendent staff.
A letter in your packet from Mr. Lim. And that resignation is quite a ways out. I think we need to have, we've had a little discussion. Maybe we want to go into a closed session where we're talking with staff later in the meeting as to when we advertise that position and hire that position, so that there will be some training in place. When we hired Mrs. Johnson, we allowed fairly healthy time for she and Richard to work together. And I think that time spent is very beneficial for the district and for Mrs. Johnson. It gave her time to go through multiple months of doing things, and Richard was here to help and train. It would have been very difficult to do without a training period. So we can accept the letter as stated. The time was not effective until October 1st of 2023, but at some point we need to put a timeline together.
Well, I might just mention, I really appreciate him giving us some notice, because he has a job that includes lots of keys and lots of sprinklers and lots of everything else. Heaters, air conditioners. I'll accept the motion to approve his resignation.
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, motion carried.
And then the other resignation is from Whitney Ball, who has been doing our math interventions at Southridge Elementary, doing the cadence testing and then using that data. She's done an outstanding job. It looks like her family is going to be moving. Accept the resignation and would like permission to advertise that position immediately. I would say I think there's going to be some interest to fill that position in-house, but we've talked to the staff, and we feel like we ought to advertise it out there. Staff in-house won't apply. Not sure ripple effect and everything else. I think we just advertise it to everyone. We'll just try to make the best decision.
I'll make that motion. We accept this resignation and immediately open that position.
I'll second it. Okay, all in favor? Any opposed? From what I've heard, she has done an outstanding job in that department. I appreciate this job.
She kind of invented the position. She was the first one that's had that position. Her initiative in doing things has just been amazing. She got a whole math newsletter for us every month. Has great interventions. Some Excel sheets. As soon as she got on the job, she came to Mrs. Corney with an Excel spreadsheet. This is how I'm doing track of things. It's just impressive.
Anything else with staffing?
Maybe with the board's permission, maybe I could come to the next meeting with kind of a proposed timeline. That way you have time to look at it in terms of rotation.
That's, oh, I think that'd be good. Is that right with that? Yep. All right. Well, information items.
I asked them to go back and just kind of give us, so there's 3 pages there. First is October 1st of last year. So October 1st of last year, our enrollment was 510. Our enrollment as of the end of school, 5/27/22 was 492. And total enrollment start of this year's 512. So very insignificant changes.
Well, it's really quite interesting to me that Southridge Elementary has more students than Northridge.
Yeah. For a few years it was the other way around. Then last year, Southridge had 1 more student. This year.
Actually,
Might be because they're less happy.
Okay, trust line.
Even in
Trust lines training.
Current time to Mrs. Cornell.
Let me share my screen. Bear with me while I figure this out.
Same training as before.
So I don't know.
Yeah, do you have the
Is it-
YouTube on? If you have the YouTube on your browser, go to open Chrome and
Sorry, guys.
Like delayed.
go ahead and click on that.
Click on this one.
Yeah. And then close YouTube.
It's got a delay. It just closed that one. There you
There you
go.
go.
There you go. Thanks, Zach.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing wrong here, but
It's working.
I was sharing my
You did
screen.
work.
I had my screen shared. I was so happy about that. Anyway, so this is just a little 3.5 minute video, just a quick one to kind of, you guys have all been trained on trust lands several times for some of you and at least a couple times for everyone. So instead of doing the whole big, huge, I've got a 21-page PowerPoint here. We can go through if you'd rather, but I've talked to superintendent and asked if this would be okay. It just is kind of a brief synopsis. So just a refresher. Absolutely.
I'm Utah State Treasurer David Gibson. Important institutions are beneficiaries of a nearly $2.5 billion permanent trust fund, and the interagency effort is working to grow, manage, and protect these endowments. As part of Utah's 1894 Enabling Act, Congress granted millions of acres of land called trust lands to our state. Constitutional provisions require that revenue earned from the land be placed into permanent endowments for specific institutions, including public education, state hospitals, and universities. Revenue is invested prudently, and annual distributions from each endowment support 12 trust beneficiaries at no cost to Utah taxpayers. These endowments are made possible by Utah's School and Institutional Trust System, a consortium which shares trustee and fiduciary responsibilities for trust land management, trust fund investment, trust fund distribution, and trust protection and advocacy. The trust system as we know it today was born with the creation of the Utah School and Institutional Trust Lands Administration, or SITLA, in 1994. SITLA manages the 3.4 million acre land portfolio for public schools and other trust beneficiaries, generating revenues from energy and mineral leases, real estate development and sales, and surface leases and easements. Since its inception, SITLA has earned and contributed nearly $2 billion in revenue to permanent funds. In 2014, the legislature authorized the creation of the Utah School and Institutional Trust Funds Office, or SITFO, as an independent state agency tasked with the management of all trust investments. SITFO invests nearly $2.5 billion on behalf of the permanent trust funds in a globally diversified investment portfolio. Annual distributions from the permanent trust funds total over $95 million in fiscal year 2021. Utah's public schools are the largest beneficiary and received approximately 95% of those distributions. The School Children's Trust Section of the Utah State Board of Education manages school fund distributions through its School Land Trust Program. Every school has a council that determines its school's greatest academic needs and prepares a plan to address those needs with trust distributions. In 2018, the legislature created the Land Trust Protection and Advocacy Office to represent and protect the beneficiaries' interests, provide trust system oversight, and help the public understand and support these important endowments. The Protection and Advocacy Office provides active monitoring and advocacy for productive and optimal revenue from trust land management, prudent and profitable trust fund investment, and effective distributions to trust beneficiaries. This structure of protection and advocacy optimizes and protects the inherent purposes and goals of the trusts. Collectively, these agencies ensure the integrity, growth, and protection of Utah's school and institutional trusts, dedicated to serving all beneficiaries today and tomorrow.
That was pretty painless, wasn't it? Do you guys have any questions about trust lands? If you have anything, feel free to reach out to me anytime.
Do you by chance know how much that they mentioned they've sold some of that land? You know how much they've sold?
I don't know. I have seen
probably
some
look that up.
up for sale, but
They sold a little, then they come back way off. Years ago.
Well, I guess that's pretty,
just
once you sell it, you get the money and you
I gotta
invest,
share for the next
the land's gone.
Yeah, so you share.
I think they've kind of gone to
Lease the land and
try
whatnot.
and make the land make money for you, you still own the land. So windmills, mining, any of that kind of stuff, will be still on.
Cell towers. So that will not be considered federal grant.
No, that's like state
So there's
leases.
grants that permits to drill, things like that. Just about shut that
That office, right?
State.
The office that they talked
down.
about.
We'll probably stay okay. Oil, drill.
Well, it's, again, most of it, and I don't know about it everywhere else, up here where I'm from the western town. Those cinema sections are so dotted throughout. Got a section that's surrounded by forest. So to get to it, you always got to cross it, so it's not as wide open as you think now. Up here, cinemas make quite a bit of money on logging. Thompson's state's been really open to logging. It's much harder to get sale of the forest. The state section, and, you know, they lease grazing on, and so you can get AUMs for grazing. So that's most of what I think is in the Rich County is grazing leases.
Do other states do that? Or is it just you?
No, other states have it, but
A lot of states
What is it,
sold
like-
a ton of them. It's like almost immediately, they sold like a lot of them. Utah was smart.
then what is it, about 7 western states? This was done more back in the Midwest. They did, that's more private ground. That's why grazing in the West is so unique, that Midwest states say, well, why are we subsidizing you guys? We operate our cattle. Oh, well, there's not much private land in Rich County on a percentage basis. So either you use public lands or you take them to graze. Public lands, and if you graze them on the meadows, for 9 months of snow, get you. Or 6.
Fantastic.
That's more like nine.
That's all they hear.
So,
Okay. Yeah, thank you. All right, school grading.
Churning again. We'll see if I can make it make another noise.
in case the board's sitting here saying, I wonder why, it's a very conscious decision that I don't operate with technology. If you don't take that as a down marker in my evaluation process, they're a lot better at it than I. That's full confession and transparency. It won't be that I'll be jumping in to take over the technical presentation.
Obviously, I can't do it either, so we're
I
good.
was trying to distract.
I know, thanks.
Just hate it when people are staring at you.
Pull it down. Right. This one? Right there. Finally. Okay, sorry about that. So has anyone had have any of you had anybody, why is it not bringing up Rich District?
Are you already on Southbridge?
Yeah,
You're on.
it should pop back to, I want it to go to, we have a district report card and then we have school report cards. Trying,
State gives us a.
click on your search.
It's great they came out.
Thank you. I've always been able to just hit the
Last
enter
week,
key.
There are a few, that's.
That was a little-
little.
Pardon?
The grades were released last week on the board.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
yeah. They were embargoed until the 11th of October. Have you had anyone reach out, even aware that they were released? In all the years,
Like right here?
Yeah, to the state
Yeah.
board.
they were released. I heard a little bit on the news that that school grades have been released, so check with your local schools, but I haven't had any calls or any comments. I just wondered if anyone else had. It just gives some information, you know, obviously we're 92% Caucasian, 30% economically disadvantaged. 20% students with disabilities. So it's kind of interesting to look through it. There's our teachers' years of experience. 66% have more than 7 years. So that's kind of cool. And then we get down here to the grades. We have 3 A's and a B. And I was, the day that they released them in the embargoed state, I was in a UOD meeting. So our Association of Assessment Directors, we were together, and the guy from the state, Aaron Bruff, was there. And I said, Aaron, what is this? I was so mad at him. And he's like, Tara, this is amazing. Why are you complaining? So I wanted all A's, right, Eric? We want all A's. Anyway, he was like, this is so good. And I think superintendent said he had some other superintendents reach out to him and congratulate our district on such a good report card. Last year, we did not get report cards. It's been 2 years since we've actually received school grades. So
what is this overall letter grade? Is it the average grade that the students?
Yeah.
Like what?
So let's look at the high school. There's different areas on secondary, and then it's a little bit different for the elementary, but like there's achievement, growth. So it shows you in each school where, like at the high school, their growth is exemplary. So this right here, this lowest 25%. So the lowest 25% is also included in all of these grades. And then they double whammy you. So if you are low right here, that's what happened with Southbridge Elementary, that's why they have a B, because they're lowest 25% of the students that took the test. Can I say that? Every student at SRE took the test. And as you see, we have 20% of our student population are special ed students. So when you know that every student took the test, those lower kids, I don't know, they say they can score high, and I hope someday we figure out how to make that happen. But
The opt-out rate changed from school to school.
Yeah.
High school had a very high opt-out rate.
they did.
Percentage wise?
Our sophomores opt out.
Oh,
50%?
40 to 50% chunk. Like blood in the water.
why?
Some of the reasons I got was they had already taken the ECT, they didn't prep for it. They don't want to take a test that matter to them. On the grade and help them anyway.
When was that taken? It was,
That was that would have been taken.
The end of April 26th or 7th.
to be the juniors.
That
this
was
year.
us, the ACT Aspire Plus, which is the test that freshmen and sophomores take. And the ACT score for juniors would also be racked.
Included, yes. ACT's post-secondary readiness.
I was just curious if it was like one of those, if there was a rampant that like, oh, our data, the data against this type of things. I've heard
I
some of
don't
those
think so. I think
arguments.
it was
of-
kids saying, Dad, I don't want to take it.
Yeah.
And they all got together and said,
Yeah, just like.
And you know how it is.
It just-
Everybody's
after
opting
10 days
out.
started, it turned the opt-out papers. It's like blood in a slot.
It kind of felt like that. I was there.
And
Yeah,
we've
for
been
sure.
forced to Southbridge Elementary, even on that demographic that she just showed you, with all of our kids. The schools, there's a varying percentage that don't, so excuse it, but we discussed this with our community council, as part of the trust grants. Our community council basically said they could call the bunch out to get that. It sounds like I'm making excuses. I'm very proud of the fact that I got my principal hat on that. Very proud of the fact that they were all our kids.
It's the only school in the district that all students took the test. So it's RISE with the grades 3 through 8. It's the RISE test, the end of level test. And then the high school has the 9th and 10th grade, as Weston was saying, it's called Utah Aspire Plus. And then the 11th grade is the ACT. The ACT is separate here. And on the elementaries, let's look at, I mean, they have exemplary, they just did really well. The high school did really well. And that's only the ones that took the test. So when it comes down to federal accountability, we'll fall below the 95% rule. But it's for state accountability, you don't have to have 95% take it, but for federal, you do. So that's where state and federal are in controversy there. Let's see if I can mess this up again.
Did you get to this?
I can send you a link.
It's on the US meeting website.
See, it worked that time. Did you see that, Zach? It
I
worked.
did.
Okay, just making sure. So here's the school that got the B. As you can see, they're commendable in both achievement and growth. And the scores on the RISE test are what hurt there. But you can also see, if you look at, I'm just like superintendent, I'm proud of these guys for everybody actually taking the test, and there's no opt-outs at Southridge Elementary, and at the other elementary, it was like, I want to say 26% last year opted out. And if we wanted to go into closed session, I could tell you who they were and you could see, we could talk about names and understand what this looks like, but it's just kind of fun to look at them.
Maybe hit details. There are some of the
Okay.
stuff we looked at today.
In which area?
Doesn't matter to show kind of what they.
Okay, so growth, they take a cohort from one year to the next, and they look at those same group of kids and they see if they have a year's worth of growth. So 0.40 is 1 year's growth. So if we look at the growth, you can see, it's interesting because it'll show you the different areas. We could look at just language arts. It brings up the state average. You can compare our school to the state, to all the different areas. It's kind of interesting that way, I think. Now, if I can click there without
We
clicking
should
out.
take like 2 different schools and compare them. Like
Yeah,
another school that's maybe similar to us.
and there is on Data Gateway, you can do that.
Oh.
Yes.
Where's data game?
So let me just pop over there. I'm praying it's up. Oh, it is. Yay. So you can just, it's datagateway.schools.utah.gov. And then you just go to compare schools. I'm not logged in. This is public page.
Data gateway.
.schools.utah.gov. So here I just typed in Rich. As you can see, it drops down all of ours. Let's look at, let's do Southridge. And you can do percent proficient, or you can do MGP, which is medium growth percentile. But the proficiency is what most people are looking at. But that shows where we are.
Wow, that's way above a whole bunch of schools.
The ones in orange are the schools that perform better than us, but still, that's why Aaron was like, Tara, do you understand how amazing, this is our B school. This is where our B school performed. So, he just couldn't understand why I was complaining, because I wanted all A's.
The other nice thing about this compare schools thing, some of them are charter, but it's schools of similar size, so we're not
Yeah.
being compared against Wasatch Front. Whether it's private or public, at least it's similar size schools.
So it's kind of fun to look at those. Are there any others you want to see? Do you want to look at the high school?
Yeah, look at the high school.
Mr. Taylor. Yeah, well, it looked pretty good.
Yeah.
Science could improve. But
I would love to. So, it's like I said, that's just a public website. And this is just barely that same day, October 11th, when I was in that meeting. It was October 5th when it was released, embargoed. It was the 5th that I was in the meeting, and we were looking at these. They had just barely put this up.
So the high school, it's this ACT that drives this data. What drives the data in the other schools?
This is Utah Aspire Plus.
State analytical.
Yeah, and in the other schools, it's RISE. So the high school has Utah Aspire Plus and ACT. Utah Aspire Plus is 9 and 10. ACT is 11th. And the seniors are not. not tested.
Yeah.
And then middle school is RISE, elementaries are RISE and Acadience reading and math. Last year it would only be Acadience reading because math was the first year, it was our pilot year to get the baselines. So it's impressive how well they're doing. What did you want, Weston?
No,
Well, good work.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's pretty neat.
you did well. After you've had a
Make sure-
gap
make
year,
sure
it
and
makes you
send that to
nervous.
your Tabby folks there. So that we're reading for the most part.
He doesn't care.
that's true.
I'm sure somebody would care about it.
Just not him.
As well as he is, right? That's good, though.
That's
true.
Yeah, it's exciting.
Yeah, that is.
Really good report card. Great district report card.
Well, thanks. Thanks for, what's this MGP? I just, this comparison tag, what's MGP?
Median growth percentile. So it's their growth. So it's kind of an average of the growth. If they achieve their full year's growth.
So when kids pop out, you think pop kids? Whoever, or some of the bottom kids?
Depends on the school.
Yeah.
Does that make a difference? I mean, you look at all those schools.
Yeah, more accurate reading, they are.
At the high school, I don't think it made a difference. It was more of a, hey, let's opt out of this test. You know, that was kind of what it was at the high school level.
You know, your juniors pretty well, I really took that in the high school, so it's pretty accurate. One thing I was gonna say is, if you remember the presentation we had, our ACT was down the year before, a whole bunch of this metric was broke. Our ACT was back up this year, so that helped us.
Helped a lot.
Our sophomore, I don't think there was. Our high kids won't get. Whoever. Yeah, so. We're gonna work on it.
We got a couple things in place, right?
We're gonna try.
Hope it works.
But it's, and we've said this every year, it doesn't matter what level. There's a little core in the start. Billy said next to Bobby, and Bobby said, hey, our dad's on his favor, I don't have to take that test for the next 3 days. He goes home and says, hey, he doesn't have to take it, why do I have to take it? So I hope we can keep those nobody's out, if somebody's throwing that out. But once you get 2 or 3 kids in the class under some social pressure at home, you know, again, parents say, well, I don't know if you're taking it or not. That's what happened at high school. Once they're kind of got, you used the term blood in the water. Once there got to be a fairly big nucleus, and it was like game on.
And what we've got to do this year is help our parents understand the utility of the test, that there is some benefit. to taking it. Although, to your point, it's marginal. It's marginally beneficial to that person.
And we argued not so much the last few years, but this originally came out. Superintendents argued heavily that if you're going to require the test, then require the kids to take it. It just makes no sense. And then we get the trouble with vets because they require a certain percentage. And our state
95%.
says it's parent opt them out. So then we're areas there. And so there's lots of inconsistency here.
And the
Try to
assessment
tell.
director has to put every single opt-out in.
If we're, I mean.
That's a pain.
Bring up something that doesn't have to do with, well, we're gonna be willing to conflict with feds. You know, I mistake conflict on that Title IX stuff. Ooh.
I think because the penalties are higher. It's kind of like speeding versus shooting the ball. Their families are not.
That was good.
What was that site again? It's, not the gateway one, but the other one,
The
the
one.
first one. You're showing. To the school, right? Yeah.
It's on the school board.
I just-
You find out.
All right, well, report on appreciation dinner.
You know, one of the, and you were that were there, heard a lot of this stuff, but there was communication during the week that maybe we need to report a little bit on some of the data that was there. So if people are online, they can hear it. I'm not sure we got anybody online tonight.
Nope,
I don't think so.
not a one.
They might be watching it live on YouTube.
It could be.
So I guess, Tanner, why don't you do your presentation, and some of it will be redundant, but I think it's all good. And that day it was hard to ask questions, so give us your whole load, don't hold back thinking, well, you've all heard this.
Okay, what I did is I superintendent forwarded the camera and wear your suit coat.
Yeah.
Well, I wore for those.
Here, I'll just
Stand right
slide
here
off
and
to the
face
side.
camera.
Let's try this
Over
one.
there.
Yep, perfect.
Looking good.
So what I did is I just took that email that superintendent forwarded me from board member McKee, and I'll just go through and answer the questions. I think it's interesting to know, just like we just saw with school grade, one of the superintendent's favorite sayings is figures lie and liars do. You can honestly massage numbers to make them kind of say what you want to do. So what I'd like to do is share the numbers we have and give you some background, maybe context of the numbers. Not that they're incorrect, but for example, we say our graduation rate is 100%, and it has been for a long time. Well, that's true. However, we have students who start with us in ninth grade and don't graduate as walk across the stage their sixth year. And part of that is credit deficiency, and part of it is choice. What often happens with some of our students is as they go through their high school career, they get to the point where they're wanting to do something else, and some of them transfer to online school, and they'll graduate through an online school. And then there's once in a while, some of our students decide they want to go get their GED. They just want to be done. The GED, especially if they leave before graduation in May, they sign out of our school and they stop being our students. They didn't technically graduate. They left our school and pursued the GED. Their choice. What I do think, the 100% graduation rate, which I think we're proud of, we've worked on for a long time, is when you look at other schools and they have, 80 to 90% graduation rate, basically what that says is they lost the kid. They don't know where it started and they stopped coming and we lost it. And so what is good about 100% graduation rate is we try really hard not to do that. And we try to give them, I've got a couple of kids this year that won't give too many details, you might be able to identify them. We're helping them. They're not going to get a high school diploma, but they're going to be ready for their next step in life. And that's what we do. So again, the 100% graduation rate is an argument. So scholarship amount is another thing. Last year, our kids earned $890,000, close to $1 million. But again, that is all the money. So if a student did really well, they applied to 4 schools, and they got 25 from this one, 42 from that one, another 15 from that one, even though they can only go to one school, we can chunk that all together. So it's kind of tough to know exactly, especially at the end of the year. I mean, kids don't, and some of them are still trying to decide what school.
So there's a difference between you're going to plus and more than not plus.
Correct. And so that feels like a big number. It is a big number. Again, it might not be, getting back to it is a big number. Our kids earn a lot of scholarships, but it's not cash dollars actually get. Some people scholarships and they can't take all. Graduated 35 kids last year. So if you do the math on that, the average is 25,000 per kid. Last year we had 6 associate's degrees, and we had 10 associate's degrees the year before that. So last year we had 35 kids graduate. The year before that, I should have looked that number up. 32-ish. Last year was the first time we did GE certificates from Snow. We had 3 of those, 6 associate's degrees, 3 GE certificates. Another question was asked, how many kids are taking concurrent enrollment courses? So last year, we had 37 kids out of our 71 juniors and seniors enrolled in a concurrent enrollment course. This year, 21 of our 45 juniors are enrolled, and 15 of our 27 seniors are enrolled. So 36 out of 72 is just right at half of our kids are taking at least one concurrent enrollment class. Bridgerland courses is, again, kind of tough to nail down exactly, because as we talked about in our appreciation there, Mr. Larson, over the years, we've partnershipped so heavily with Bridgerland that they've basically become our CTE options. And outside of Mrs. Muir's foods classes, Bridgerland is, well, and it probably we'd say our woods class that Mr. Larson teaches. Everything else is a Bridgerland class. And so the vast.
They're getting Bridgerland credit
Yeah,
for, right?
the vast majority of our kids are taking the,
So close to 100%.
Again, I didn't do the math, but it'd be 90% that have taken at least one Bridgerland class. Now, I did look at our seniors this year, and just by looking through the seniors, 10 of our 27 have an obvious pathway in Bridgerland. Now, that would either be a CNA course or an EMT course, where they'll actually be able to set the CNA or EMT test, or they're heavily into the welding, the automation, the drafting, and the machine shop. Again, it's difficult to say who will actually come out the other end with a certificate right now, but 10 of them are on a path.
10 out of what again?
10 out of 27. So that's 10 out of 27 are on an obvious Bridgerland course, and 15 out of 27 are on the curriculum.
I'm assuming there's probably some overlap.
Yeah,
there.
absolutely. So typically, it's difficult for a kid who's kind of chosen to do an associate to go real heavy in the curriculum. We have had a couple. Usually requires 0 hour, which we talked about before school. But kids who have chosen either getting a year of college or pursuing the GE certificate can easily then also couple that with something through Bridgerland. Especially you see our medical kids doing that. Really good pathway for anyone in medical to get their CNA, their junior year, their EMT, their senior year, and they get about that first year of college. It sets them up really well to transition. And historically, we've had kids do that. EMT's new, but we've had for years had kids do CNA and get their first year and a half of college. Extracurricular was another thing that was asked in the email. These numbers are close. And what I did is I included kids who were also in the band and the musical. And again, it's as close as somebody else can look at the numbers and see how long. But I think about 116 out of 149 last year were involved in something extracurricular. This year, right now, first trimester, we have 84 kids. This 84 kids who are enrolled. They're actually in the random testing pool, drug testing pool. So 84 out of 155, and then we would have a few more who would be kind of helping with managerial stuff. We get some managers. So that's probably close to 90.
Is that sports?
Yep, that's extracurricular. Now again, we haven't started our band or our musical or our winter sports yet. That number will absolutely go up. We'll be over 100 again. Another thing was asked is average GPA. So I did last year's average GPA. Our average GPA in the 9th grade was 3.33. 10th grade, and this is cumulative, so it's progressing. GPA in the 10th grade average was 3.12. 11th grade 3.32, and then 12th grade 3.55. I think it's worth noting that so last year we had 6 associate's degrees, 3 GE certificates, and we still had an average of 3.55 GPA. That's pretty impressive. which I think if you wanted to look at school grade, that's, because someone could argue, yeah, but your GPA is, it's just, you know, you guys are handing out A's there, but you got kids who've taken 60 college credits and they're still 3.9 GPAs.
Yeah.
So our kids do well. They go and they navigate slow college classes, the USU classes at college. And we always kick out a 4.0 or 2. Close. And typically those kids are, not always, typically those kids have associate's degree to go along with them. At least questions?
How many kids do you think you've got this year on their way to get an associate? Any idea? I know it's pretty
Should
early.
have asked
in the
that
year.
question.
What would you guess?
So if it was a smaller senior class, 27, Jody couldn't answer me that. I'm gonna guess 8, but I don't know.
A lot of juniors are pretty involved this year.
Yeah, so we got half of our junior class taking a DCFS course, first hour, that's split it. 22 kids in there, so. Yes, there's a bunch that are interested in social security. You asked about happiness as well.
The reason why I sent that was more, not necessarily like, oh, hey, come go and get these numbers. More, I was hoping to have more of a discussion on like, what should we look at as far as to determine our school success, all that. And those were just some things that came off the top of my head, right?
I guess if I had to answer that question, the things that I look at is when we kick them out the other end, do they have the capacity to be successful as an adult?
Yeah.
Are they ready to adult?
They're becoming lifelong learners.
Yep. And 100% no, we kick some out that are ready. But I think one thing that I'm pretty proud of that we've worked on over the years, this year with what we established as Rebel Time, we're doing more social emotional character building than we ever had. We're doing a half hour a week during our Tuesdays, and I think that's a real need. Some of our kids have gotten into it, some of them don't like it. So we're trying to address the kind of whole child more than just the academic portion. We are looking at other ways to get kids involved in our school that are sports. We know, we've got what, 50 kids right there. Last year, the 40 students. We didn't have involved in something. We'd like to get them involved in something. One of the ways we're trying to do that in our Thursday activity and our socials. I explained this to our trust lines meeting yesterday. I hate Halloween so much.
You said about homecoming last week, though.
I didn't. But we do. I do. I mean, because it's not fun for me. But we do it because we're trying to create social events where our kids can practice socializing and feel like they're part of our school. We got a big event Thursday. Invite you out on Haunted Hill.
Really?
Yeah. We're looking for haunters, so if you would like to come home, I'll be in serving chili.
I thought you'd be the head honcho.
No.
Judging by the last comment.
Travis Seaborn on that one. So
Where are you guys doing?
So after we're gonna have some chili, and they're gonna watch a scary movie to get good and scared, and then we've got teachers and some parent volunteers around football field and the bridge across the ditch, go up on the property of the schools. Carve pumpkins on Thursday, sit them around the path, scare them.
That's awesome.
But we're really trying, to your point, we're trying to make, we're doing such a good job of it, we're trying to keep up. Make the high school place. That they feel like. I don't know, we're not getting everybody. For sure. We're trying.
I think one of the things Mr. Larson has talked about at the awards is that for the last few years, as he talks about the graduating class, is most of the kids at least have a plan going out. They're either leaving on missions or if they're going to a school or they're going, they've got a workplace. It's rare that a kid that you can't say the last few years that they're graduating without at least a plan. Because most of them include either missions or higher ed or a good work path. Is that not correct? Did you reported that?
Yeah, we have the data. It's usually like 92 to 95% have an actual been accepted to a plan where they're going after high school. They're just not in limbo, still deciding. And that's testament to Jody and the counselor, Weston, both of them working to make sure that happens.
Yeah, Jody, that's Jody. She does a great job. She puts them all on a list. She makes sure she hounds them. They've been doing FAFSA. You know, other schools have FAFSA nights and try to get everybody, and we just go down the list and we make sure kids fill out the FAFSA. Make sure their plan, when the plan changes, and we that plan.
That certainly doesn't mean that all their plans come true, but at least they're not just going out with, well, that's what I like about what they've done is, at least they're walking out with, I got somewhere to go. And I think that when you talked, go out and adult, I think that's the first step in adulting is you got some place to go adult. Basement watch. I love Lucy or whatever they watch.
Sure, Tyler.
Well, not only that, but I think we've created a really good culture where their senior year is a very productive year. It's not just, I need 5 more credits.
You know, we've had some of those. We have some that really aren't interested. We can talk about this. We can't get them excited about the current. We can't get them too excited about. We had 5 kids graduate a trimester early last year. One a couple graduated early again. And I guess we've decided that, you know what, we want to support you in whatever. So if a parent, a kid wants to come and say, hey, you know what, my next thing is not here. Okay. So get ready for your next thing. I talked to a parent just this week, and that's kind of the narrative they had. Okay, let's help them be ready for your next thing.
That's good.
I don't know if I answered the question.
No, it was more, like I said, and the site that was brought up and then the one with what you, I would love to just be able to bring something to the public to show just how awesome the school is. And just, and so great. I don't know how hard that was to gather that information, but
That one.
And maybe going way back, we used to do paper, pencils, and stuff like that. We used to have to put together a form card every year that was mailed out. Mr. Nelson spent lots of time getting that. And maybe if you had something you'd like us to do, you could take this data and other data that the board would like to see and do an old-fashioned mailing. Like I said, that's
I don't know if it needs to be a mailing, but just maybe creating a simple 1-page document with these points on there, visually showing whatnot, the growth, the progress,
on the website and a
grades.
school messenger. Hey,
Yeah.
this is on the website.
Something like
So
that.
let's just take up our next board meeting, put some stuff together that we can show you, and then we can get it on the website.
You know,
What
just
did we
watching
do?
it a couple of years ago, you've probably been in the commons area, you see the blue banners in there, and that was kind of the intent of that. This is over the years, this is kind of what
Exactly.
some of the highlights.
This is our progress. This is how
Right,
we're
put it
improving.
on TV in the commons area. To get parents coming for games and such.
Wherever we can.
That is all, just like I said.
That's what I do for a living.
like you
Yeah,
said,
I hear you.
You know,
You can manipulate, but it's also, if done right,
yeah, I
it's
just,
an
I think
effective way.
we had to share what the numbers are behind the numbers.
Yeah.
And then that.
I think the biggest issue with data is people stop when they want to,
Yeah.
right? Like, okay, it looks good now, let's stop looking. But it's really just to show, help paint a picture of what the progress is being made and maybe instill some discussion and figure out points that we need to talk about, where we can improve all that, not necessarily, Greg, because just because some number looks bad, let's do a little research. Maybe it's not as bad as what we think, just because the number looks good. Yeah, maybe it's manipulated a little bit, and we research a little bit, but a collective numbers and that growth over time and whatnot, I think would really help. I just mind the goal for me behind this is just to help the public see where the district has been and is going and where those dollars are being spent towards, and are we teaching the kids to be lifelong learners?
And I thought the dinner itself was really good. Yeah, we had a really good turnout. I was amazed. Coming from Bridgeville and Kate, I was amazed. Yeah, from the state.
Well, I very much appreciate the board for allowing us to do that. Cost involved. But it's kind of like other things. You do that without the meal, and it's just another meeting. But you have 4 legislators there when we only have 2, so the 2 came from Cache Valley just to see it. That won't hurt us ever in the legislative session. And then, like you said, that fire had 2 goals. I ran into President Coffin a couple of weeks ago. The guy that came, Mr. Smith, from Department of College Education, it's kind of new to the state. He said he hadn't been here long. He went back. So,
Oh, that's good. Thanks for putting it together.
and it was amazing that all 5 of our board members made it. That's not, it would be rare, I think, in any district. So that's a tribute to you guys.
It was nice to be there. Okay, class fundraising.
Yeah, my question on that was more just not necessarily about high school, but the elementary. I've just seen that there's been a couple of groups posts and whatnot, and I've seen my own kids bring some stuff home and whatnot, and I don't know if I've ever really thought about like where's the money go, where's it for?
I missed elementary level. I thought we were talking high school.
And that's my fault for not specifying what I was. It was more of an overall question, but really, because I do understand where the fundraising and whatnot of the high school goes to. Where's it go to the elementary and whatnot? Because like there's like what do they have in the North? It's one of my kids bring home. It was like a
Like a
Cache Valley card thing.
daily book or
Yeah,
whatever.
what is that? Where's
Those are
that?
PTA ones.
PTO.
PTO.
It's
Oh,
PTO over
yeah.
there, PTA over here.
Class.
So it goes into them and
We
then
do nothing.
Yeah, we don't do
Classes here, I don't think we do any class.
That's the PTO and they spend the money on the students.
I see. Yeah, makes sense.
I hope we're not doing any class fundraising. I don't think. But I, oh, you too. If the line's good, just keep using it.
That's hilarious. You just said that.
Okay.
So did that answer?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking it was a high school.
No, no, that answered it, thank you.
All right, USDA.
So the state convention coming up, got that in your packet. January 5th, 6th, 7th. Probably ought to get on rooms there, so we got them. So we can always cancel, but you're planning to go.
Yeah.
Okay.
And is it okay if we do the 700 lodge again instead of the towers? Now, some boards get really angry if they don't get to stay in the towers, but it saves us quite a bit of money.
He just did it. I was gonna mute him.
No, I'm perfectly fine. I don't like, I don't really like those outside ones.
If we can get in the
But you can
connector.
get in the connector, they're fine.
We'll try.
I mean, if you have to go outside, you do, but
We
I
just,
know we had a board, a lady board, and it was kind of scared because sometimes you go out there and it's dark. We did have somebody that was associated with. I wonder if that maybe justified.
get those agenda in here. We'll see if the, what is it, the bar something, Wranglers or the bar Jenny Wrangler. No, it's
Oh,
not
I've
bar
heard them
Jenny.
before, actually. The Bryce Canyon Wranglers. The
Yeah,
Bryce.
Bryce.
Are they good?
Yeah, they're really good. It's fun.
And the keynote, looks like we got one big keynote on the Thursday night. And after that, it's mostly just breakout sessions.
No lunch. Got this one sound best.
Yeah. I don't know what's happened there. I hope they got good breakouts because I have a lot of journals. And then you were all at. I'm sorry, I said all of it. Oh, it's too late now. But the information they gave us at the, our JLC priorities, and then I thought the board's professional standards thing was good. So the group of leadership, USB, I think are working real hard to make the organization productive. And I think I got enough feedback coming back that night. They gave us the option of going there again in the spring. That's a good idea. It's a small enough group to the interaction.
I really like that smaller group. We're just sitting at the table listening to someone.
Zach missed too because.
Maybe.
But it was.
We gotta go again, just so this. Experience it. Yeah, I need to experience that. And Zach.
Food was outstanding. You've been there, but it was outstanding. Pete kind of missed the rubber chicken, but.
It was hard.
See the disappointment written all over it.
Looking for a bad meal.
You probably didn't take my recommendation, though, did you?
Well, I didn't see it on the menu.
Really?
Did you? I was looking for it, thinking about
I
trying.
wouldn't have taken anyway. I didn't see it.
With all another steak, if it did.
Losing.
Wow. That's
That's good.
good. Bill, that's great.
And maybe it was there, but I looked for it.
Yeah.
because you had mentioned
No,
it.
that's the next part.
And then the national convention, Jenny, I'll turn this to you.
The hotels opened up. I jumped on. The ones closest were gone. There was absolutely no rooms available. They were still pretty high priced, really. So I looked around, I found a Days Inn that is really nice, hardwood floors, really close walking distance. I did book several rooms there that are free cancel. So if you'll let me know if you are planning on going to that. And we'll probably want to hold some rooms if you want to buy some personally, if you take family. I mean, it is the land of Disney.
That's Bill's favorite place. You know. He told
So
me
I
how
probably won't
excited
let the
he was.
rooms go until we know for sure who's going.
When do we have? When do we have to buy? 'Cause it won't be to the cities or whatnot.
Yeah, I need to get the tickets before December 1st. So if you're going to the class, I need to purchase those before December 1st or they go up. So
Maybe by
Okay.
November board meeting.
next board meeting, I think would be the deadline on
Decide,
that.
and we can get things booked up. We won't. Jenny will.
I've looked at
She's a
airfare.
traveler. I am not a traveler.
I looked at airfare, it's pretty pricey. I'm not sure what's going on other than the convention, but maybe spring break. They probably jack the prices about that time.
Okay.
But be thinking about that. The cows will wait, Pete, the cows will wait.
They haven't waited before. Pretty sure that won't change. If they're in ag class, the high school, you put in charge to say, you know, field trip. You know, live my
School project every day.
Live at Pete's for 3 days.
Don't FaceTime here.
There you go.
Hey, Pete, there's a dead one right there.
What do we do with this?
He went peacefully.
More money than grass. They don't consider that. Where's that? All right, anything else for USBA?
I don't think so.
Okay, UHSAA?
The volleyball. We have a bye this week, basically. This is the play in games. We were high enough in the RPI. We don't have anything. And then Colonel will start in Richfield. We've been in UVU most years, and that's sure nice not to have to go clear to Richfield.
I'd love to see less Richfield and more. I just,
Me too.
it's too much of an advantage to those southern schools. I've said it a lot before, but they get to sleep in their own beds.
We're just basically along what's in the end, yeah. That's it.
And part of the deal this year, I guess, it had the 3 classifications there. And I guess that pushed 3A the last couple of years, playing on Wednesday, Thursday, and I guess they flipped it. That hurt us. But Mr. Taylor has talked to me. It used to be, I'm always talking used to. Get old, you just talk used to. But the Chamber of Commerce kept the prices, the hotels down pretty good for us. But at the Ridgeville tournament last week, that was not the case. Our girls ended up staying in Salina, and the price, because there wasn't any room. What else was going on in Ridgeville? Bike race.
Pedal bike race, they had a water bike race, they had a car show. And that's just what I know about. You know.
Anyway, the prices were crazy. We stayed in Salina at an not a very nice place. But over the last few years in state basketball, the prices continue to rise. So we're gonna try and leverage that a little bit. Say, you know what, Richfield used to really cater to getting us there. Chamber of Commerce, but that's not happening now. So we're gonna try a different angle. We've tried a lot of angles. That's gonna be our,
I'm gonna show them the screenshot of the Fairfield. Nice, decent hotel, but they want $1,060. Stay.
For me,
One night.
$1,000,
$1,060.
And they'll probably get it.
Night of
not a suite, just a room.
just a regular old room.
Wow.
28.
Don't get it from me.
Even if it's a suite, I mean.
Well, yeah, even a sweep, but that, but at least that's a
No,
fancy
they won't.
spelling. It's not like-
I think that's the angle. It's like you can't hold it down there because there's nowhere for people to stay. It's just, you can't. We don't need to have a UVU, but let's have it up there where there's hotels to stay in. Let's go to high school.
Right. I don't understand why we don't just do that.
Well, I think we
Like
should-
one of the nice high schools down there.
I just think we gotta go get someone else for that.
Yeah, $1,000
that's his dad,
bucks.
so that's a little like Billy Route 5.
There you go. Gonna lose your Oscar.
It's ridiculous. No, okay. I don't think it's okay. It just, you can't have it down there. You don't have the infrastructure to host this. I don't mind the venue. SBC Center's fine. If you don't have the infrastructure.
So Mr. Taylor's already working on an angle.
Pretty cool.
You can back it.
The other thing we ought to do is report on region cross country.
Yeah, I've got two region tournament, region champions over there. We got the state volleyball, which is the region volleyball. One region in there, the trophy over there. The boys today took region. The girls region and the girls took second over at Cornell.
Really?
Cross
Yeah,
country.
Cross country. We had 12 boys running, 8 girls. Yeah, a lot of kids running today.
We had a home meet for the first time,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
What was the route on that? Second time?
Oh, that's true. We had it last year. You're right.
I missed it last year. Okay.
And we're pretty excited about what we're doing. Talk to the coaches. It's a good, cool thing to find this next season. Go to state on Tuesday. Paige Smith won overall. She was about a minute ahead of the next one. So then the boys, so our top finisher there was Justice Allred. We took fourth.
That's good.
Okay.
And then football playoffs, one thing. We're okay by policy, but for some reason, the semifinal game's on a Thursday. Wednesday after school to get the Cedar City to play on Thursday. That's gonna be a disruption, but it's a state event.
As I understand it, tell me if I'm wrong, the 8 man is kind of, we get whatever's left over, so. That's when the venue is, and so that's gonna be that Thursday at 9 o'clock, 12 o'clock game for this year.
What is that?
Thursday, third November.
The third.
Luckily, school right after on Wednesday night. 6 hour drive. And then we're still unclear when we win that game, where that's gonna be in the following. Could be St. George, could be Cedar, outside chance it could be Weaver, most likely St. George. I think it's on Saturday the following week. Sounds like that might be up
That'd be the 11th. Or the 12th.
11 through 12.
there. Yeah, the 11th or the 12th.
Well, so
Right now, we think it's 12th. But it sounds like they could move it on. It sounds like it depends on what the other 1 through 6 they do and what venues they're gonna use, and we just kind of. I've been fairly frustrated with UHSA, actually.
But on a positive note, again, the board deserves the credit for this, because I know you took some heat. Good things are happening with the coaching in football, good things are happening with this 8-man league. Wyoming League has worked out extremely well. Been competitive, games are close, crowd, fans are able to go. So the Wyoming thing, and I hope the Wyoming people feel good about it. But to my knowledge in football, things have been real smooth with all the Wyoming schools. It's worked out really well, in my opinion.
Well, this is the first year they haven't state sanctioned 8-man championship. We thought it'd take a couple years to gain traction.
Well, we thought, and we thought even if we had one, it's gonna be maybe a 4-team, something like that. We got 18.
Unofficial. This is an official state.
It's awesome. Where do we fall in this right now?
So we're gonna have to play the money with Valley, right?
Yeah, I think we're going in second.
Yeah.
Behind-
Jonathan's playing this one, they gave him a choice, right?
Yeah, they're good 8-man.
I don't know if we gave them that problem. I know they're playing.
I think they gave him a choice, but.
8 or 11.
I looked at the 1A bracket and I didn't see them on that bracket. So I think they're just doing the 8-man.
It feels like a real win. We had competitive league play, close, and now we have a culminating goal. A real legitimate shot at it. So,
And I've loved to see the collaboration that's happening at the high school and middle school level as well, which has been awesome.
Yep.
And from my understanding, the middle school, when they only had 1 loss, right? They would have had better refs.
It was
They would have had better
referees.
refs, right?
So one thing that's been brought up to me by a couple of parents actually is another year, they wish the games would be a little later in the day, on Friday, instead of 1 o'clock. Or noon. Is there any way to, the home games, I mean, the away games,
It's cold.
Yeah, let's go to the football team, build, got some lights.
It's so cold.
Why does the Wyoming, they like to play at 1 o'clock first?
I don't know that. I don't know that.
I mean, the ones that have made it to me has just been frustrating because of getting off work.
Yeah.
You know, it's hard to just get off work and watch.
Why is it? Why-
And then they have the varsity game first, JV second.
I don't know, but we're kind of please let us play in that league, because, you know, even though the 8-man thing's good, what we're doing seems like the best of both worlds to me, because I'd hate to start traveling to Monument Valley and all over for home and homes. So this way we can have the best of both worlds. And I think if Wyoming wants to play 1, we better play 1.
Well, that's, I didn't know, I don't know who set the time. I wondered if it was us.
I don't know the answer. I'll find out.
We're setting the time, maybe we can fudge it if they're setting the time.
I think
I'll visit with
we
Matt.
fit into their schedule. That was all the time. Can we fit into their schedule?
And have there been a JV game on games? I've heard a couple complaints or whatnot of just how there haven't been JV games, but my understanding there have been.
There've been some, and again, it's very, in the old Utah tradition, you play JV first and start varsity. Because I think that's a numbers game with Wyoming schools. They like to play the varsity, and then if your kid playing kids both ways, then the kids that are fresh from the varsity and can go play JV. Used to be, when we did that, Rick, you can speak to a better me, when we had JV games first. A lot of those kids would play a whole JV game and then play a lot of downs varsity. And Wyoming schools, I think, would rather do it vice versa. So last week we played only a half. We played a half. And part of that's they just don't have the numbers to play. We've got some JV in that way. We'll play more summer.
I know that you this week. Yeah.
Did somebody say that they like to do their JV games on Monday?
They actually play on Monday.
We can't do that.
No.
No.
Correct.
Well, I guess we could get hungry.
Change that.
But no, they do, they play on Monday night, for JVs.
So they changed that for when they play us, they'll play them like after or
Yeah,
whatnot.
I think that's probably why the time, which is good.
Well, I don't want to run about understand it. If they were asking principal of our high school, what time would work good for you?
We want to.
Anything else? Or-
Anything else UHSAA?
This week, the JV game is first, and then the varsity starts at 4.
That's Friday.
Yeah, it's backwards this week.
Or
Or-
I'm sorry, I didn't realize they were playing JV on Monday. Lost.
Well, it's nice of them to work with us. Really is. Okay, Bridger. Well, we went to brought the robot over. That was pretty exciting stuff. I'm really glad they had the whole student body in there to have them talk. I thought that was really great.
So where did you guys do it? You guys did here? You did it over there? Oh, I missed it.
It's just tough, it's tough to be all things to all people. I mean, for some of our kids, it was really impactful, really cool. Some of them couldn't care less. But then I think you got maybe kids in the middle, that are kind of excited about it, so. That automated manufacturing is going to be automated technology next year to really take it off. We're gonna have to start to figure out how to house them. Get
Oh, really? Well, that's a good problem.
Yeah, you know, we can just maybe swap out or even double up with drafting class.
I quite appreciated what they did, the way they presented it, this is where it's going, Many of us know how it's been, but very long, and you can't do your computer integration, you're gonna be left behind.
So how big is this robot? Is it?
It's probably 2.5 foot arms each one. 2.5. It's, one of those yellow ones.
I don't know.
Outside of your
The
arm.
ones you see on the movement
about
they're
it.
doing like on the car assembly line, big yellow arms. One of those.
I run 24 hours a day, 7 days a week for 5 years. Oh, man.
It's cheap labor.
And
Wish I
it's
could
cool
run like
because, I mean, it's starting with the exact same. Interface. Cool. We're excited.
Might have to come and have somebody demonstrate it to me.
Yeah.
I'd love to see it. I'm bummed that I missed
They
that.
got 2. They got the little Yamaha.
Get a little yellow.
Oh, you guys,
Yamaha, but
2?
does a lot of real simple functions. It's quick. Goes
And we've added some CNC machines too that we want to see that have some programming involved there. So. Well, we've got.
And it was good to have Chad there that day. I think they knew it. But when he looked at some of those old plays and reels, he said, we gotta upgrade these. Some of those are World War II. And I'm not exactly.
No, that's what he said.
Those, those were his exact words to me.
Yeah, that's what he said.
So, that was a real plus. Gotta remind you that he said that.
That's what he said.
I'd like to see those robots too. I'm sorry I missed that.
Maybe that, you wanna just give me a heads up and we'll have it ready to do a presentation for us.
Maybe when we have our December meeting, we have over here around lunchtime.
Going back and forth, but November, December, we could go out there.
Just go out there after lunch or something.
Sure. Yeah.
Good idea. Okay. All right. I don't see Mr. Monitor. We have a report from Mr. Monitor.
Mr. Mono was flying from somewhere to Maine tonight, layover
Oh, he's not in his own.
in Detroit, but didn't have time to call. He texted us earlier today, okay, I'll call at 6. Can I be first on the agenda? Yada, yada. But he was flying out at 6 Eastern time, not 6 our time, which didn't work very well. So he said he would put together some, but he's doing a lot of traveling right now. A lot of the states have their state association meeting in the fall, so he's at state convention, just like at USBA, we usually have the national president there. He's showing up, really saying and doing a lot of travel. So he was pretty excited to get to Maine. It'll be beautiful this time. It is. There, yeah. Beautiful.
All right, November board meeting.
So the question there, is you want to go with the afternoon meeting or you want to go with the evening meeting? Matter to us, but if the Ridge Ryan thing's on the table, afternoon meeting would be good because that are in December.
Yeah, could we potentially do that afternoon thing in December? That would work better. That's possible. If that doesn't matter. If it's-
Well, we've usually done it in November and December,
Oh.
once here and once in Lake Town.
Oh, got it. Okay.
And the audit will be
I'll make,
November, the audit report. So we have to let our auditor know which
What
time.
day is
we
that?
can do, but if we could do the Bridgerland thing, since that'll be a live one. December, that,
That's fine.
but usually the December one's over there though, isn't it?
But we can switch that.
We can
No, it makes
switch
the auditor drive a little further. That's fine. We paid for it.
Yeah.
We've kind of swapped it
Yeah, we're-
every year. So that's good.
Where's the auditor coming out?
Provo,
But he comes in December, so this would be closer.
November.
Oh,
He comes in November.
So
We have to have our
driving-
report filed by the November 30th.
So he's finding the place.
Does that work with you?
He's
We
good.
do Lake Town in November. I think I like. keeping the lunchroom. I didn't feel kids were at home there.
November 15th.
Gives us a chance to tell trips things.
One in November is over there.
Lake Town,
22nd, right?
Is that?
Oh,
22nd.
November 15th.
Oh,
And that's. the
oh,
third
that would
Tuesday.
be the third one.
So I punched that in my phone and it's come back and said Lake Town lunch. That's true. These are weird devices on there, I tell you.
It's listening
They
to.
already knew.
I already knew.
Do-do-do-do.
That's scary. What time do we say? 11:30?
What time's best for us to get to lunch?
So the 12:15 to 12:30. About 12:10 is when the high school, when the middle school goes. So you want to go before then?
What is the elementary?
The elementary is like 11:40, so right in there, 45. So if you went like at noon straight up,
Eat at
What we've
11.
usually done is
Eat with the elementary.
11:45 and then start our meeting. at noon.
Yeah.
Eat with the elementary. Start our meeting at noon.
All right, you guys?
Yeah.
Say 11:30. Tuesday the 15th. Okay. All right. Anything else we need to talk about?
Like motion, we adjourn.
All right. Motion made. I don't think there's any opposition. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, gentlemen.
Pleasure.
Thank you.